Organizational diagnosis of Starbucks. Introduction. Organizational change is inevitable in today's dynamic business environment. Such change usually involves a research process consisting of different stages. Organizational diagnosis is one of the most important stages in such a change situation. Organizational diagnosis can be considered a special branch of organizational research that leads to a set of statements about design options and recommendations for change. Organizational diagnosis is important as it helps diagnosticians make a leading statement about the organization's functioning or a part of the organization related to the problem area of interest. These statements often lead to recommendations to improve organizational efficiency, effectiveness, or flexibility. They use the results of organizational diagnosis to initiate interventions leading to organizational change, for example, reorganizations, business process redesigns, outplacements, management buyouts, strategic alliances, or mergers. Less critical organizational improvements, such as internal communication improvements and reduction in absenteeism, may also be the outcome of organizational diagnosis. Finally, organizational diagnosis as a research activity contributes to change processes and to learning processes within organizations. Thus, in layman's terms, organizational diagnosis shows the organization's current state and, therefore, provides information necessary for problem-solving or future organizational development. Discussion of the models, critical appraisal/evaluate. Diagnosis models are an important tool for conducting a diagnosis activity. According to Breaks, the different ways where models come in handy for diagnoses are: models help to enhance our understanding of organizational behavior. They help to categorize data about the organization. They help to interpret data about the organization. They provide common shorthand language. Faleta has discussed various models developed to aid the diagnosis of organizations. The models can primarily be distinguished as the ones that take the open system as an assumption and the others that do not. For instance, models like Levitt's model, Likert system analysis, McKinsey's 7S framework, and high-performance programming do not consider the external environment as a variable that can induce organizational change. In discussing Levitt's model, we see that the organizational variables are interdependent: task, structure, technology, and people, but fail to show, due to its simplistic nature, in which direction the effect of change occurs. Likert identified 4 management systems, viz. exploitative argumentative, benevolent argumentative, consultative, and participative group, on the basis of 7 variables. He suggested questions for each variable to ascertain the management style, but the questions did not come from the model itself but from Likert's consulting experience. Even if we assume that external factors influence the organization's functioning, this model will not help in a successful diagnosis. McKinsey's 7S model is more comprehensive, clearly defining the variable interdependencies. The model shows that all 7 variables need to be changed to bring about a change in the organization. The examples of American and Japanese companies further exemplify this. The former lays unsuccessful stress on the structure, strategy, and systems for bringing about change, but the latter stresses these along with the other soft variables. When applied in a situation where the external forces are not considered, this model can bring significant effects. The other models, like the force field model, Weisbord's model, congruence model, Tichy's framework, diagnosing individual and group behavior, and Burke-Letwin's causal model, all consider an open system where the environment has its influence. Weisbord first introduced the concept of formal and informal systems. The less the gap between them, the more effective the organization is. This concept has been used further by Nadler-Tushman in their congruence model. Their model says that as long as the parts of the organization are well fitted, there will be a greater level of congruency, leading to a better functioning organization. Tichy and Nelson Burns' theory assumes that the output is performance, and their performance gives feedback to the input in the form of history and feedback from the environment as to what their next throughput should be. Burke-Letwin's model is the most comprehensive of all the models. Being a relatively new model, it draws from all the previous models, empirical research, and OD practice, a model that covers all aspects of the diagnosis problem. The major similarity among all these models is that they follow the basic concept of input, throughput, output. All lay stress on the organization's mission and structure along with human resources. Their dissimilarities lay in their treatment of the variable and from the angle they view organizations. For instance, Tichy analyzed all variables from technical, political, and cultural views. Nelson and Burns, in their high-performance model, stressed the study of the current level of performance of the organization in order to plan interventions to transform the organization into a high-performing system. Organizational models and Starbucks. Starbucks is a leading United States coffee chain. It is a member of one of the most dynamic industries, which are influenced by both internal and external variables. Further, it is a performance-driven company that aims for a quick response to market changes. Thus, implementing models that do not consider external influence as a factor that induces a change in the organizational framework is difficult, as Starbucks' operations are all based on inputs and feedback from the environment. The only model that can still be used is the one developed by McKinsey, as its variables are well-defined, and there lies a lot of interrelation among them. The models which presume an open system are apt for implementation in Starbucks. Some of the models which are determined by the performance of the company are tailor-made for Starbucks. Models of Burke-Letwin are easy to implement in Starbucks as they describe all the variables very systematically, and the direction of effective flow is also clearly defined.